Good evening and welcome to another Coach Vincent show here at Roosters Men's Grooving at the Tower Center across from 1890 Ranch. Coach, we missed last week with the holiday. We beat Lockhart and got a gold ball. Now we have another gold ball. We're beating Victoria West. You warmed up yet?
Yes. Yeah, finally got thawed out a little bit.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, in the delay and everything. But it was a great team victory. I mean, there was a lot of going on. Talk about how offensively we've really picked it up.
Well, first of all, you mentioned the delays. I was so proud of the way our guys handled that part of it. One of the things that we talk about with championship football is whichever team can handle adversity the best. And sometimes adversity happens before you even get to the game. And I felt like our guys handled that really well. They stayed focused on what they needed to, and they came out and executed really well. Executed well in the conditions also. I felt like, you're a little nervous about ball handling in those conditions, but our offense for those conditions was really clean. I know we've talked about this a lot, but it all starts up front with our offensive line. Victoria West had a really good defensive line up front. And for the most part, our guys did a really good job with those guys and created some running lanes. They started doing some different things, and we were able to throw the ball and get behind them some. So really proud of our offense in that situation. One of our goals was to keep their offense off the field because they had a guy or a couple guys that were really dynamic on offense, and our offense had a couple drives that were really long for scores, and then one drive that we started on our own 10 and we flipped the field and got all the way down to the other end. We kind of stalled out, but we ate up about 6 minutes off the clock on that drive. So really proud of our offensive effort in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And with what you're saying about driving the clock, and that's why I started with offense. I mean, you could really tell there was a true game plan there on making sure keeping them off the field, and then the guys knew to run the clock. I mean, they were working well together.
Absolutely.
And of course, defense. Our defense, that team, they're just gelling. They're just molding every time, adapting to three different scenarios in the last 3 different weeks. Absolutely.
It was a little bit like the LBJ plan, with all the speed that Victoria has. Our guys, we told them that we had to contain that quarterback, kind of like LBJ. We had the same discussion. Another fantastic player they had at quarterback. You could see what he could do on special teams. He returned the ball down to the 10-yard line, and really, every time we gave our defense good field position, I felt like they responded really well. We got some stops. We got some big fourth down stops. Did a good job of what we call caging in runners, making sure that we had leverage around their really skilled guys. So I was proud of our defense for executing the game plan, especially coming off of the Lockhart game plan, which is something that I believe we visited about this at one point. I don't know if we've had, last time we defended an offense like that might have been 2007 when I was at Austin High School.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so it's a unique offense, and so coming off that and coming into the Victoria deal, I thought our defensive guys handled the plan really well. Coach Geis and his staff, great game plan, and proud of our kids for executing.
Absolutely. And it's real interesting. Bryce Dahl's now kicking off, and Diogo is still doing the extra points, and the way that those two have worked well with each other, just if one has to go in and the other, special teams, special forces have done a really great job over the last few weeks as well.
Bryce is a really good kicker because we use him. He's so involved in our offense that a lot of times you don't know what he'll be like on a kickoff, as far as just coming off a long run or a long drive, those type things. But he's in great shape and kicking the ball well. And he and Diogo give us two different looks when we're kicking the football off. And Diogo just continues to get better at field goals and extra points. The other night, one of our special teams awards that we gave on Saturday was to our snappers and our holders and those guys that had to handle those balls, and then him being able to kick the ball in those kind of conditions I thought was really good.
Yeah, the way he was placing the ball on the tee from with the wind and the rain. It was real interesting to watch him, and he did a great job. But that said, why don't we talk about players of the week this week?
Had some players of the week for Victoria West. Our offensive lineman of the week was Harper Gerasi. Offensive back was Isaiah Valera. Our receiver was Ryan Landrum, had 2 really big catches in that game. Offensive MVP was Matt Snow. Our defensive back of the week was Caleb Welch. D-line of the week was split between 2 guys, Jay Mobley and Christian Boyd. I think this may be the first time Christian Boyd showed up on this list. He has continued to get better all year at the nose position, so really proud of him. Linebacker of the week was split between Blake Harrison and Cole Patterson. And then defensive MVP was R.J. Phillips. It was good to see him getting back on track and doing a really good job. Special Forces MVP was split between Kyle Armstrong and Kyle Kirby, which is our punt snapper and our extra point snapper. Those 2 guys in handling that situation. Hammer Award this week went to Matt Snow for some big hammer type runs and that type of deal. He's a tank.
Yeah.
So, hard hats this week, and I'm really proud of these guys because these guys came up every day on a school holiday and gave our guys an incredible look. So I'm really proud of these guys. Kevin Bastow, Caden Mark, Seth McAvoy, Noah Hughes, Jacob McDonald, Cam Handy, Carson Chauvin, Grant Glover, Danny Reich, and Alex James. So good group of hard hats this week. And actually the week before, I should have brought those in with me because the guys that had to do the Lockhart offense, excellent group of guys.
I went to a couple of practices.
We gave the whole offense, that whole lot, we called them the Lockhart offense. We gave it to them for running the slot T stuff all week against us. So some younger kids really stepping up and doing a good job and traveling with us and having a good time on these trips.
And again, varsity couldn't do it without those underclassmen coming up, and I mean their season's done, and they're working just as hard to make sure that varsity keeps on going.
And it's going to help them down the long run, because every time a younger player gets an extra day of practice, that's an extra day he's getting to help him get better for down the road. Those guys have gotten 3 extra weeks and now 4 extra weeks of work. It's like having 4 extra games.
Absolutely, yeah, and it gets them ready for spring and ready for next season. With that said, I mean, our next game, Vandegrift, we're seeing them again, and of course we know they have some serious weapons. Yes,
sir. Really, Vandegrift, really good football team. I tell you, their defense, just all year, you can see them getting better and better. They do a good job defensively of defending what you do, and they do a good job. I feel like they do a really good job of that. And offensively, I mean, all you've got to do is look at the points column, and you can tell what kind of offense they have. They will put up 45 plus on everybody almost the entire year. And so offensively, with them, there's a lot of talk about their skilled players, but I tell you, their offensive line really good up front, really sound, good offensive line. So it's going to be a good matchup for our D-line. Our D-line is going to have to really work pad level, and we're going to have to make sure that we do a good job. Again, we've got another explosive back that we're facing. It feels like, here for 3 weeks in a row, we've faced those kind of backs, and we've got to do a really good job of making sure that we keep leverage on their back and do a good job of executing coverages because they throw the ball efficiently also. So they're a team that is explosive through the air, they're explosive on the ground. So a big challenge for our defense, and we've been challenging those guys all year, and I feel like we've gotten better in some areas defensively also. So in their kicking game, they have a kicker that can put the ball anywhere on kickoff, and he's a really good field goal kicker also. So sounding special forces, so we'll have to be great on special teams. There's a couple things that we're going to work to improve on this week on our special teams to make sure we're ready for that type of battle.
Is their kicker the same as their punter? Is that the same guy?
No, their punter is a guy that he's a multi-purpose guy. He'll play a little bit of offense, plays corner, and then at punter, He's a weapon because he's a threat to run the ball, but he's also a really good punter.
Yeah, he definitely has
one of the better punters in our district. Actually,
air time,
Yes,
which creates less returns, and they go pretty far too. I think he's got a pretty good average on those kicks.
He does.
With the obviously their offense is extremely powerful. We face them, and they've put up numbers. We have that ability too. I think Matt Snow just passed the 2,000 mark, with rushing and stuff, and Isaiah has been doing a great job each week too, of getting outside the corners and waiting for those holes to open. Are we expecting another high-scoring game, or are we going to look at more of a real battle, on the front line like you're talking about?
Well, I'm sure if you talk to Coach Sanders and myself, we're both defensive guys, we would like a low-scoring game, but the last two meetings have not been like that. The last two times we've played, it's been a high-scoring game. And you really don't, in a game like this, you don't know what to expect, but I would say, with as explosive as both teams are, it comes down to who can get the defensive stops and force punts and stop people on fourth down, because it seems like it turns into those type of games. So that's I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
that's a tough question. If you looked at it on paper, you'd say it's going to be an explosive game on both sides of the ball. But we're going to focus on playing great defense and trying to be in the right places and executing and be great at what we do. And I think that's a big part of it. You learn each week from things you make mistakes on defensively, and you hope to get better at them. And one of the things that we've got to continue to keep doing is play within our defense and do the things that we do well. And that's what we've been talking to our kids about defensively.
And you've seen that over the last 3 weeks, and I think part of it's because it's been three different options. Even though LBJ and Victoria West were similar, they had to change between those two with the Lockhart game. And there was just really a great few games that we've been able to be able to watch.
Absolutely.
We should also thank the fans, the band, the cheerleaders, everybody that came out. The tunnel crew did a great job. Our sports medicine team, everybody for surviving that really cold game out there in Puris.
Our all those people and our booster club and everyone, they've been so supportive in the playoffs, and it's just. We're excited to be in this position and humbled by it. Just the opportunity to continue playing and really proud of our community and all the support, and also just extremely proud of our kids. I mean, I've gotten, on this playoff run, on this run in general, I've gotten 2 unsolicited emails from officials talking about the class of our program. Which makes me proud as a coach. I mean, more than any score or that type of deal. Been in 2 different restaurants on the road and had people come up to me and say, "Coach, one of the best acting teams." Just things from people about our players like that. Really makes me feel good about our guys and the guys we're putting on the field.
And that goes back to our first talk. I mean, Vista Ridge is more of a community, and it's growing. Players for off the field in the future.
Yes.
And, when you hear those things, that's great. And to hear that from those officials unsolicited, I mean, the last crew was from Houston, so they don't know anything about Vista Ridge.
Absolutely.
So that's a great thing. We have a unique experience this week too with the game. We're playing almost at home. Most people pass Kelly Reeves throughout the day. It's right there. I mean,
You can
also
probably
known as
see
the
their
Palace.
stadium from Gupton. Probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
Friday nights when I'm in the
Yeah.
booth. I mean, I can always look over and see the stadium lights on. So it's really exciting to be able to play there.
It's a neat. It's neat to when I was at Westwood and we got to play there, and I think we played there when I first got to Vista Ridge also. But it was always a neat experience for me because Kelly Reeves was the AD that hired me over in Westwood. I worked for Coach Spradlin there, who was hired by Kelly Reeves, and I got to know him before he passed away, and just unbelievable man and a mentor to me, and so it's gonna be neat to be playing back there with in this type of atmosphere with our team. So I'm excited about that.
Well, that's great. And again, it's going to be 7:30 p.m. this Friday. We're the visiting team at Kelly Reeve Stadium, aka the Palace, and we want everybody to be there as loud and proud and wear red. That's the thing this week I heard, is that it's a red out. So everybody, 7:30 p.m. at the Palace, Kelly Reeve Stadium on Palmer Lane, right down the street from home, and we expect everybody to be there as loud as possible. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Joining us right now is Ryan Waldman, senior wide receiver for the Rangers, and talk about the experience that you're going through in this run that the Rangers are enjoying.
It's pretty great, to be honest, right now. It's kind of amazing to know that no other team that's gone through Vista Ridge has made it this far. It's been a great experience, and I'm really glad that I've been able to experience it.
With that said, I've talked to a lot of the guys throughout the time. You've been with them since Henry Middle School. That's 6 years of playing together. That's pretty remarkable and exciting. I mean, what is that bond like?
It's almost indescribable. You've known these people basically the entire time you've grown up. You've been around them for so long. They're like your brothers now. It's like your family.
What was that cold rain, like, and how did it feel at the end of the game?
It was pretty cold, but it was a great feeling to know that we were going to move on to the next round and keep playing.
What's been the best experience of your senior year?
Right now, honestly, being able to keep playing while so many other teams haven't been able to experience what we're experiencing now.
Well, great. And are you excited to play at the Palace?
Yes, sir. It's supposed to be a little warmer this time than it was last Friday.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, we're not going to need a bunch of raincoats and umbrellas, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, great. Well, best of luck to you and congratulations.
All right, thank you.
All right. Good job, man. Now joining us is Rocky Encinius, safety for the Rangers. Tell me about that game this past week. I mean, the delay, the cold weather, but then at the end, the win.
The game, it was tough. I was standing there freezing, but I knew my brothers out there on the field needed all of our support, even though it was cold. I thought with the delay, I think like Coach Wiggin said earlier, I thought we handled that really well. Most teams usually don't handle situations like that well. I'm just glad that we played effectively as well as we did.
And you moved in?
I moved in near the end of my freshman year.
From New Mexico?
Yes, sir.
So New Mexico football, Texas football, big difference?
Yes, sir.
And with that, I mean, this group, I was just talking to Ryan, and it's like everybody, there's a very close-knit group of kids because they've been playing forever, but somebody that comes in with this senior class, they just gel. I mean, what's that like, and how did that feel when you came from another state?
When I came from another state, when I came here, I felt very welcome. Coach Vincent introduced me to the guys when we were in the middle of off season and we were in the weight room, and just with these guys, I just see the bond and everybody is having a great time, and I think it's like a second family. It's awesome to spend all this time with our guys, and even with this playoff run, it's awesome that I could spend extra weeks with my brothers.
Yeah, enjoying that last bit of your senior year of football.
Yes, sir.
What are you expecting? Be able to go play at the Kelly Reeve Stadium, aka the Palace, right down the street.
Well, I've always I actually live like right next to the stadium. I've heard all this talk about the Palace and how it's a great stadium, and just to be able to play there, I think it's going to be a great experience for the team, and it's pretty much, like you said, it's really close to home, so I think it's going to be an awesome experience. We're going to have a lot more fans around, and I think it's going to be fun for the entire community.
That's going to be great. Well, I appreciate it, and best of luck and congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Now joining us is Kaj Green, another senior. We've been one of the largest senior classes that I've ever been around for any football that I've been around, and it's just amazing. What's this been like for you? That you came in as a junior, being involved with a team that some of these guys have been playing forever. How has that worked for you, and how does it feel?
Well, when I first came here, it's pretty much like coming into a regular family. Like they just immediately, accepted me and made me one of their own. And then playing with them this past year, it's like we've grown more and more, playing all these extra weeks together. So it really feels like we're actually a family. We go out to eat and go to the movies together, spend a lot of extra time outside of school. So it's kind of like my home away from home, family away from family.
And I've heard that. I mean, and you see it too. I mean, I've gone to Pluckers and run into 5 or 6 football players, and like Coach Vincent said, I mean, when you guys have the Vista Ridge on, I mean, you guys really hold yourselves to a great standard. What was that game? First, I didn't ask the other guys, but what was it like playing at Texas State?
Well, I mean, the whole atmosphere of just being at Texas State was kind of overwhelming because a lot of teams don't get to play there, and then being able to win there against a great team that runs a kind of not unfamiliar offense, but a very special offense. And we had to step up on defense and on offense as well, and make stops, and just being able to win that game was just it was a great feeling, bringing home a gold football. We're the first team in our school history to do that, so it was a great feeling.
Well, I think the last time we were at Texas State, we lost a real tough one, so that was bittersweet for the team. And then going down to San Antonio, I mean, it wasn't that wet, it wasn't that cold, and then you step off that bus. What was that like, and how exciting was it to finally get to start playing?
It was really exciting to get to start playing because I think we got delayed twice because of lightning. We thought we were going to have to postpone, and I was kind of getting frustrated, and I didn't want to have to come all the way out there for just to have the game delayed or postponed. So being able to finally get through all the wet weather and the rain and the strong winds, and supporting our brothers on the sideline, being able to pull up a win like that, it's overcoming a lot of adversity.
How long did it take you to thaw out?
I don't know.
Well, it's been a great year. It's been fun, calling, all of you guys' names throughout the season. And I really look forward to Friday night with you guys. And again, Friday night, Kelly Reeves off of Palmer Lane. We'll be the visitors, 7:30 p.m. Be there loud and proud, wear red, and go Rangers.